anything fixed income. And I highlight two to represent all the others. Fixing money in the bank, like the one represented here, or the obvious T-bills and bonds, government instruments. Because I am assured of my return, it's fixed. Somebody is dealing with the risks. Me, we wrote an agreement. What we wrote about, I'm assured. The third thing is my pet, investing in companies. I'll highlight it to represent all the others, because all the others is an accumulation of those. If you put up a fund that purchases equities, so I don't want to go to that. I want to highlight the specifics. So the third one is the equities. Equities is shares and buying companies. And as you know, I'm a proponent of that more than the other two. More than the other two because investments is about timing. When am I investing? Myself, I may not be a proponent of land, but I've made money in land in the past. I have made multiples in 2 years by just buying a piece of land. So I could be the last person to talk anything bad about land and real estate. But that is then. It is a decade ago, just when I left KU for my undergrad. Around that time, land was hot, and it was actually hot. We made money. Is that the case now? You tell me, because you have land. Try to sell it, and then we compare notes. And don't tell me about the value of your land. Tell me about the offers, credible ones. Because there's a whole difference between what you think your land is worth and what you can actually receive from a person who can actually buy it, not the one who thinks they can buy it. The second thing, both and fixing money is both sides of the same coin, because both are lendings, both are debts. Fixing money in the bank, you are lending money to that bank. They actually compare it, your deposits, they take it as a liability, not as an asset. Because you have umekopesha, benki pesa. The other one of T-bills and bonds, you have given your money to government for a predetermined rate. So you are lending money to government. So both are the same. It is lending. And you only lend money when the other person has better use for it. It means when you are lending money to the bank through fixing it, and you are lending money to the bank through buying T-bills and bonds, you have admitted that those two institutions have better use for your money than yourself. So that is the case. The third one is buying companies. But before I go there, because I'll be pretty short as I say, this issue of lending money to these two institutions, fixing and also buy T-bills and bonds, there is one fallacy that I want to dissuade us from. Fallacy of government never defaults. Government will always pay me my money because it's government. Yes. Because possibly in your investment lifetime, it has never happened. But remember, all the things that take too long to happen, when they happen, they actually happen. So, I'm here as a Kenyan in a country where we have 13 trillion in debt, national debt. Because those T-bills are what I'm talking about. Don't think I'm deviating from the speech. You might think, oh, he has now started those economics. No, I'm still on your bonds and T-bills. Because the accumulation of those are the ones we call national debt. So it is 13 trillion. 60% of that is your money. That is domestic borrowing. And they happen majorly in those two elements. 80% of that 60% is domestic debt. 80% of our domestic debt is owed to financial institutions. 80%. Households who are me and you is, I think, around 3% or thereabout. NGOs around 1%. So we go back to the default setting. That's what I want us to analyze together, because that's what we are doing here. So we are at 13 trillion because for the last 4 years we have borrowed more than 4 trillion. That's the reason why we are there. It's because for the last time from 2022, we have actually borrowed close to 4.5 trillion. So 2022, debt is 600 billion. 10 years Kibaki goes, debt becomes 1.7, 1.8 trillion. So he borrows 1.2 trillion in net terms. But the revenue grows by 5 times, from 200 billion to a trillion. There's a reason I'm saying that. Then from 2013, our debt grows from 1.7, 1.8 trillion to 8.7 trillion. So in 10 years, we borrow 7 trillion. Our revenues in the same period grows from 1 trillion to 2. So the debt triples, more than triples, but the revenue doubles. So you can tell now, in that pace, who is actually a Kenyan Maradona and others. In that Boston Marathon, you can tell who is a Kenyan. The Kenyan there is a debt. A normal Maradona is the revenue. So the Kenya is way ahead. The other Maradonas are way behind in terms of the growth. So we are in 2022. Marathon is continuing. Debt grows from 8.7 trillion. We are now even not yet done with the first half, with 5 years. With 5 years. We are not done with 5 years. The debt is now 13 trillion. So we are in a race to borrow in 10 years. We are in a race to borrow in 5 years what we borrowed in 5 years, the previous government. What we borrowed in 10 years in the previous government. And now we are borrowing in a year what Kibaki borrowed in 10 years. Now, so, underline here, because that is that we are still in boats. In your boats. We are still in your investments. So out of 100, we will be spending, if you include principal, 90 shillings out of 100 to service debt. So to wrap up that story, so that I finish up with shares, that story is about Kenya, but you as an investor, you need to very fast find a friend from Ghana. Get a friend from Ghana and have a call after this session. And then recap the story I've given. It is definite. It's so definite. If we do not change course, what we think is a solid rock will soon disintegrate. Because how is that going to survive? How? So I am foreseeing in the future, not very long future, a boardroom like this. The person who will be standing here is government, not Ndindi Nyoro. Government. Have government as a person. The government will come and pick the microphone, and you'll be seated where you are sitting. The bank CEOs mostly will be in that table. Maika and your team will be here, because you must be in the front row to get the message correctly. Insurance companies will be there where there is microphones. And all of us as Kenyans will also be listening. Maybe the hall will be too small for all of us. Others will be out just listening. Imukutano ni ya nini? Then the program will start running like today. Let's have some brief remarks from the CEO of the group NMG. And after that, the main speaker, who is the government. the government will take the mic and tell you, good evening. It will be an evening that time most likely. Because mornings are not made for those kind of news. Then they will come and tell you, I know and I agree, you are a good Kenyan. You gave me 1 million shillings last month because you bought treasury boats. And I'm very grateful because we were able to pay some recurrent expenditure which were really pressing us. And then the government will go ahead and tell you, you know, Kenya is for all of us. We all belong here, we are Kenyan and we are patriotic, and I want to commend you for your patriotism. And it's because of that patriotism, I come to request you, our debt is 13 trillion and 60% I owe it to you. But out of the interest rate I'm paying of 1.25, only 0.25 I am paying to external, because external debt is always cheaper. That's why you see 40% of our debt is only accruing to 50 billion of interest, but 60% of our debt is accruing a trillion in interest. So the government will now tell you, because wale wengine si unajua ni external people na hawatusikizi, they are radicals, they are not listening to us. So let's leave them. We pay them their 250 billion every year. And that's the reason I called you as Kenyans. Let's see what we can do about this 1 trillion. Because there are some roads going to your home, and there is a school we went to for primary school. There is something we are doing about those two things. That's why we are requesting. We know for sure we owe you 1 million shillings. But because I'm the sovereign, on this Tuesday evening, we have just decided from our meeting as the government that out of this 1 million, we owe you 700,000. Then you start tapping your neighbor. Did you hear? Then the government will tell you, yes, I am very happy for your patriotism. Out of 1 million shillings, from today I owe you 700,000. In barber shop and salon language, we call that a haircut. And then they tell you, we know we also owe you to pay you next 6 months some money. We are requesting for the next 2 years, you may not hear from us. But immediately after 2 years, you start hearing from us. So you remember the boat you bought for 10 years? We have just made it